Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of Let's Talk Esports European League of Legends show. Today we're talking about Europe because our North American guest actually cancelled on us, unfortunately. But what we do have instead is a fantastic European guest and one, not so fantastic European guest. I mean, he's alright, but the main star of the show is, of course, Oscar Godfred Lundstrom, support player for the Giants. I mean, when you talk about your European support players or even your Western support players, you've got like Yellow Star, your X Special, your Last Boy, but there's only one man who was able to turn the team Giants into a team that may actually win some games this season. So, Godfred, welcome to the show, and what's it been like for you thus far in Giants? If you just want to briefly introduce yourself, you're kind of unknown player joining the LCS this season.
Yeah, well, I like everything's been going pretty fast, so I don't know. Coming into this, I didn't have that much high expectations at all. So everything has just been like a bonus, like winning games and all that stuff is just coming as a bonus. And as you know, like we've been considered underdogs in everything, so everything except losing is really good.
Well, yeah, winning games is a pretty good bonus, I suppose. And
Yeah, yeah.
I have to talk to this guy. This other guy, former LCS only. I mean, come on, does he even count as relevant anymore? I'm just kidding around. It's my good friend, Joe InnerFlame Malawasi, best known as perhaps the former SK Gaming manager last season. First place in the regular season and not so first place in the
Yeah,
playoffs, I guess.
unlucky playoffs.
But now resigned, found a new home in Gamers 2. How's that going for you, Joe? Back in the Challenger Series, not quite the level you once were.
Uh, it's all good. Like back where I started, really. Like back where I feel at home.
Well, getting those kids into the LCS, but like we said before, coming from SK, and as we saw last season, obviously we just mentioned they were number one in the regular season, kind of fell off at playoffs a bit, but what really happened was the off season and this ginormous breakdown of the team, as everyone kind of said, who's leaving, this person's leaving, these persons are leaving. In the end, just forgiven. But from what we've seen in the start of this year's LCS, this split, sorry, in the LCS, slumping to a 0-4 record, Joe. I'm wondering if you have any thoughts about that. Obviously, coming from SK, you don't have to delve too much into that. I know there might be some political reasons there, but you would be the man to know why this is happening to SK thus far.
Uh, TLDR, I just don't think they're playing to their strengths and how they're going to win the game. They're almost playing a kind of similar style to the way they did with Forgiven, and it doesn't really work. I think they've become too accustomed to it, and they need to like swap their playstyle completely if they want it to work.
I mean, well, what do you think of that? You mentioned Forgiven, obviously. What do you think of that pickup of Candy Panda? He was the one that rejoined the team after quite a while of being out there. There were some other AD carry options available to them potentially. Perhaps Rales in the challenger scene, who's now playing with Wicked's team, who qualified today actually. But they chose to have Candy Panda rejoin the team. Do you think that was the right call? Do you think they've made an error in that pickup?
Personally, it's not what I would have done, but I think he's a smart player, and I think he can be good, but I don't think he's the right player for SK. I feel like they were moving backwards with their kind of roster decisions rather than forwards.
Okay, well, let's say let's say you're still in charge of SK, right? And you go up to the owners now. Yeah, you have full control, full authority of the team. You can do whatever you want.
Right.
I mean, how do you do this off season? Because obviously you weren't quite there. You resigned out there. But how would you have played the off season had you have remained in control?
Very differently. Is my answer to that. Very, very
Have I
differently.
baited you into a bit of an uncomfortable
Yeah,
situation here, Joe?
you put me into an awkward
That's what I
situation,
do
but
best, my friend. That's what I do
I
best.
would have done something very different. That's all I'll say.
Can we not get any sort of specifics there at
Not yet.
all?
It's too early in my career to say that. Maybe in the reflections in 2 years' time or something, but
Unbelievable.
no, no,
Unreal.
no, not yet.
Wow. Anyway, Godfred, you yourself,
Hmm.
you're a support player, right? So you've been in the bot lane. You would have had a chance to look at this SK Gaming I believe you played against them actually last week. Am I right about that, or am I
Yeah,
completely
we
mistaken? So
we played against them.
you've seen SK and you've seen this difference. And you played against them last season, obviously. And you've seen this change. What has changed about them? Why is this happening? Is there any reason you see behind this thus far, or are they just struggling to get into form?
I don't know actually. It's kind of hard for me to just come in and say what they're doing wrong and stuff. But something that like surprised me a lot that game, like if we're going to specifics on the game we played against them, I'd say when they picked Sajani against us, like I don't know about that pick. It was so weird. Like they should have gone for Lee or something early game because we outscaled them in every possible way, and they went for Sajani or something.
Well, that could always come down to a coaching problem in that pick ban and phase. Like we said,
Maybe.
they did bring in a new coach as well. I believe their coach was actually their sports psychologist, Joe. Am I correct in that one?
Hmm.
So, I mean, that poses a question as well with the coach pickup. Obviously, you don't know the inner workings of the coach and how he does his job, but I mean, personally, I'm not so sure that a sports psychologist is really the correct person to be on the stage coaching the team. Is there do you disagree with that statement, or do you think do you think they've done a decent enough job finding him?
Me?
Me?
Well, either one of you.
Okay,
Uh,
you go first.
I have no clue. Like,
Well, I didn't expect. Joe, you're the coach here, my friend.
All
You're
right.
supposed to be the one that knows about this stuff. Godfred just taps the keys, you know.
Okay.
what? Uh,
First of all, I'm a manager, and again, like that would have been a decision that I made. Who would have been me? You know, like because I would have wanted to transition into being like only the manager, and then I would have chosen the coach. And personally, I wouldn't have chosen Lucas.
Okay, interesting. That
I
is.
think I think like if you are a sports psychologist, you should stay in that area and you should not deviate out of it. You know what I mean? Like you should not go out of that kind of like bubble, you know? Like I don't know how to say it. It's I feel like he's stepping his boundaries if he's coaching the team.
Well, that poses the question:
Overstepping his boundaries.
is he actually doing any coaching of the team, or is he, just the face on the stage? We'll have to. I guess that'll come out in later light. But as well,
No idea.
not just SK are the ones that are struggling. We also have Gambit Gaming sitting on the bottom of the standings, and that's kind of a surprise. Perhaps at this stage, obviously they did acquire Forgiven, replacing Pinoy. And that was their change, and people expected them to honestly do a bit better than what they've done so far. Do you see it? What do you think of the problems in Gambit as well, having these problems at the start of the season?
Okay, I'll start here. Like I think they'll bounce back. I just think I know that they had a lot of problems before the season started about like being able to practice. So I feel like they're kind of 2 weeks behind every other team in LCS practice wise. So I think when they do start practicing effectively and they bring up their level and kind of get used to it again, like I think they'll come back. I'm not sure where they'll finish, but I don't think like they'll carry on losing.
Do you think that's the only reason though? Do you think it's just the losing the practice, or is there any other issues within the team? Obviously, they're not visible to the public, but one thing that a lot of people alluded to was the fact that the Forgiven Gosu Pepper, as he's now called, lane. A lot of people were saying, it's like salt and pepper, very toxic is the word that they throw around bot lane.
I don't know
Oh
if
dear.
Forgiven's hardworking and he wants to win. Like,
There you go. He made it. He
but
made it,
I
Joe.
mean, like, I know. I mean, I'm just saying, like, Forgiven's hardworking. He wants to win, and like any player, any professional player with any ambition would be annoyed if the rest of his team what didn't want to win as well. So it just depends on whether the rest of his team share his kind of ambition. I don't know. I got no idea.
Well, the one thing that comes to mind when I think of SK and Gambit in the bot side is, of course, the bottom lane, the AD carry and support position. They Forgiven joining Gambit and then Candy Panda going back to SK, and I'm wondering how you would rate those two bottom lanes together compared to what they were last season, what they are this season, what they are together next to each other as well. Because obviously, N-Rated received a lot of criticism last season for less than stellar mechanical play. Candy Panda not exactly known for superior mechanical play in the past, whereas on the other hand, Forgiven and Gosu Pep are usually getting a lot of the credit for that kind of stuff. Whereas this season it hasn't really come out. And I'll throw this one to Godfred, as you are, a bot lane player yourself, having faced off against one of those lanes thus far this year.
Well, like facing SK was like I was thinking it would be like a bot lane. Like I know those players, I've seen them play before, and like it was exactly as I thought it would be to play against them. Like not that mechanically, I don't know how to put it, but yeah,
Challenging.
yeah. I'm not saying that I have the best mechanics as a support, but I know like kind of how their mechanics are, so I know what to expect.
Hey man, we saw those not insect, those mad lives on the Morgana. Come on, they were pretty sick. Especially the one over the Dragon Wall. Come on, that was too good, my friend.
Ask
But
Edward.
anyway, huh?
Ask Edward. It's scripts,
Ask
dude.
Edward. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Okay.
scripts.
Uh, well, I guess we can move on to Giants though, because obviously you play for Giants, and in the off season, there was a lot of these rumors going around that they were going to be cutting someone. And I thought for a long time, I thought that Noxiac was going to be the one joining, right? Because I heard about this rumor. They're like, oh yeah, Rydel's going. And I was like, okay, cool. And then I went off to do some like Counter Strike event and like work on some Counter Strike. And then I come back and then it's like Godfred has announced his support for Giants. I was like, oh my god, I did not see that coming. Like it's just some random guy that I'd watched
Neither
stream
did
like a
I.
few weeks ago. Well, I was curious as how that came about, and obviously how Giants did this work in the off season to come up looking as good as they have done in the start of this season so far.
Well, everything went really fast for me. Like they contacted me, I don't know, 3 weeks before the season start or something. 4 or 3 weeks, something. And I don't know, they had gotten to know me from my stream and when I played Duokyo with Reckless, I think. So it's like kind of random on that part, but then I started playing scrims with them and they were satisfied, I think. So yeah, it's on that way. That's how I got into Giants.
So what you're saying is I should have been looking in like the viewer list of your stream, and I would have seen like ex Peppy, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And scroll down like Adri's looking as well. It's like, oh, okay, just take that one to my editor and get the hits. But no, it didn't happen. So was there anything you noticed in the off season? You may have watched Giants last year. I don't know how much attention you paid to the LCS before this, but there's been not just an improvement on your end of things in the bottom lane as well as a mechanical step up from Rydell perhaps, but just all around the board, it seems like everyone's stepping up. A lot of the time, it can be attributed to like the LCS effect, where if you are in the LCS, you're going to get better practice and stuff like that. But I'm wondering if you've noticed anything specifically. I think you've come in and started doing some shot calling as well.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have an experience before from competitive at all. I just came into it and they needed kind of a shot caller, so I was like, sure, I'll do my best. And I feel like I'm getting better each day on shot calling stuff and like game knowledge wise. I don't feel like that I have that much, but I feel like I'm really good at making decisions. Like if my team feeds me with information, I'm pretty good at like using that information into a plan on the map on what to do and what not to do. So yeah.
Okay. Well, you know what, as well, I was actually going to mention this. I was going to take it on to another tangent. I thought of it earlier on, just before we started. But there's another brand new support player in Europe as well, pretty much untested in competitive play, and that is Promisc or Promiscuous. It's just forming. I can't remember what his old name was. Yeah, it was something silly.
Ham the tank.
Ham the Tank, that's the one, Ham the Tank. And this, I know this is a subject I'm actually going to bring on that Joe feels quite strongly about, and that is the topic of importing in players. Because I was going to say, perhaps not Giants. I don't know if Giants had like the pull that Elements would have, but if Elements had wanted to, they were looking for a support player, and they could have easily just imported a Korean support player, even a North American support player, if they'd wanted to, but instead choosing to go for kind of this young European talent that's untested and taking a risk like that, especially in the summer split. And I was wondering, Joe, especially you, what you thought of that decision and what you think of the whole importing thing in general, especially in Europe, because Fnatic tried it last season and it worked out pretty damn well.
I think I don't know. I'm very against importing in general. I feel like we produce more than enough talent in our region. I just feel like we have to nurture it. So I don't feel like we have to import talent into the region when we already like have it here. I don't know if Elements made the best decision or not. Actually, like strangely enough, I didn't really have my eyes on Promiscuous at all much. He was just another kind of solo queue player to me. But he wasn't like bad, but he didn't really stand out either. Um, I don't know. I in general am against importing. I think it's bad for the longevity of the scene, and I don't know. It always feels better when you have a full team of Europeans beating like an NA team, you know? Like it's not
You're all
it's
about
not
the EU
I'm just
euphoria.
I'm not even like it's not even that. I just dislike the idea. I don't think it's healthy for the scene in general. And um while it might be good short term to bring up the kind of level, uh it's not good long term. And at the end of the
Yeah.
day, we want to be doing this as long as we can. So
I think it's kind of discouraging for new players as well if they notice that all these teams take in and they take in Koreans anyway, so it doesn't matter if they get good or not. It's just like lowering their chances of becoming a professional.
yeah.
I think it was Broken Shard that tweeted the other day to Freak saying, I can't remember what it was. Freak was commentating in a game and was saying something like, and that's the North American LCS, you know, in a game with 3 American players and like 5 Koreans and 2 Europeans or something like that. So I mean that's how you feel, Joe, right? I mean I tend to agree in that I feel like importing is not great, but it has worked out in some scenarios. You can't deny that Fnatic clearly made the good choice to import Huni and Reignover.
Yeah, of course. I mean, like I'm not necessarily saying like, oh, it's going to be bad for the team. You know what I mean? That's not necessarily true. It's like been proven in many cases, but uh, I don't like it just based on the fact that it's not good for the health of the scene in general. But we're pretty good with that in Europe as well. Like actually having it's actually quite difficult to work in Europe if you're not already from Europe as well. So that kind of helps. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, what do you mean? What do you mean it's
I
difficult
mean
to
like
work in
laws,
Europe?
the laws
Oh,
are
okay.
different per country, you
I
know,
thought you
rather
meant
than
just like if you're not European, you're going to get like
yeah.
flamed
I
to
mean I
shit.
know
Like,
the
What?
states
What?
is huge, of course. So you have like it's like free for people to just go from state to state, but here it's like the laws are different country to country. So um, it's harder to do it, especially coming like from outside of Europe, you know.
Mm.
I noticed the surprise there, Godfred. You know, we're Europe. We're known for our flame. That's what we're here for. I was thinking like when Joe said it's like difficult to work here, I was like, why are people gonna like be racist to you in the team chat or something? Like, what the hell? But no, I get what you mean with the visas and stuff. No, totally. So anyway, I did mention Fnatic back there and their importing of Huni and Reignover, obviously. But this season, along with Origin as well, they're the 2 teams that are really pushing up there towards the start. I think they both have 4-0 at the moment, including victory over Godfred here in the first game of the LCS. Was it the first Origin game of the LCS? I'm trying to find it out. It was
Yeah.
your first, your debut in the LCS, Godfred, and
Yeah.
Origin
It's
took you down.
actually I'm like if I get to talk about the game,
Yeah,
I
you
think
can do.
we oh nice. I think we looked actually pretty strong like until 25 minutes, and then something happened because they played with even jungle and they didn't manage to get any early kills whatsoever. So, and I think the goal difference was like only 1 or 2 Ks. And usually, when you look at 25 minutes into the game now against Origin and another team, Origin is usually up by a lot more. And maybe that is because it was Origin's first game. I don't know, but I still think we played a pretty solid early game, even though it was also our first game. So
You done bragging?
no,
You done bragging, Godfred?
no, I'm just like talking about from my
I'm kidding. I'm
perspective.
kidding. No, you're right. They
Yeah,
have
but
been, apart from you guys, they've been pretty much stomping across the board, and it all kind of ended up in this absolute horrific massacre of SK Gaming on week 2.
KDA farming.
First game. I think that was Niels broke the record KDA with 34 or something like that, or 30. He holds the KDA record for a single game. So, and that is a question as well that you need to ask Niels and in fact the whole of Origin. They kind of into the Challenger Series. Xpeke wasn't really dumping on people. The team wasn't really dumping on people as much as you thought they were going to do. Soaz looked good, but nothing special. Same with everyone else. And then there was like Niels was this outstanding player. But no one knew if he would make the step up as well. So Origin coming into the season were actually quite a big question mark. I mean, are either of you surprised that they come out and dominated this much, or were you expecting this to happen?
I think they'll start off well, like they have, and I think if they don't, like it all depends, right? Like they could be really good this patch, but like for example, the next patch could really hurt them in some way. Uh, I don't know if it will, but if they adapt, obviously they'll be one of the teams staying on top. Like the best team over the course of a split is the team which adapts the most. And like you may say, like in SK we didn't adapt, but we actually kept our playstyle the same, but adapted our picks to it over the split. And then by the time we played playoffs, it was completely outdated, even playing that way as well. So we kind of got punished for it. But it's actually the team which adapts their picks the best, like as the split goes on, will be like at the top or close to the top.
It also just kind of seems like that a lot of their players are just to step up what they used to be and what they were in the Challenger Series. I don't know. I think they might have just been lazy in the Challenger Series, maybe. Not just like not trying as hard. But it seems like, especially Xpeke, has come back into his old kind of form. But the real standout, I think we can all agree, is not just Niels, but also Mythy as well in the bot lane. And this one can kind of go over to Godfred because I mean, looking at it now, you could arguably say that over just these 2 weeks, obviously you can't really do that, but over just these 2 weeks, Niels and Mythy is the best bot lane in the European LCS.
Yeah, I agree. They've been playing really good. Like when Mythy played Alistar against us the first game, I watched the replay and it was like some like small micro stuff was made us such a huge difference. Like he canceled LeBlanc's W damage, which would have killed 2 people. It's like just small things like that is pretty fucking insane. And I don't know. I knew he was a good player, so I'm not that surprised, but I'm still impressed for sure.
Do you think they can keep it going, Origin? Obviously, Joe said it's. I mean, not Origin. I mean, Niels and Mythy. Do you think them two will just keep going as this strong dominant force, or do you think people needed a bit of time to figure them out as players, and then maybe they won't be so strong?
I don't know. It's really hard to tell. Like it's a team game, and this has got a lot to do with the team. But they're both really good players, so if they keep on playing good, like it depends on the other teams. In my opinion, it's really hard to just say that they will be able to crush everyone.
I mean,
think-
in a way, it's like good that 4 of them are experienced because they have to finish top 2 this split. It's not like, oh yeah, it's like it'll be good where like if they finish top 3 or whatever. If they want to go to odds, they have to finish top 2 to have like I believe like a good
true?
chance of. I think so. Obviously, first place is automatic qualification, but second place is 70 points. So depending on where UOL finish, for example, or where Fnatic finish, it has like big impact. So having 4 players with experience will be good for like handling that pressure. So I mean, if anyone can do it, it's Origen because they have the experience.
It's
Like
who, Joe?
Origin,
Origin. It's
whatever.
Origin.
Who
I
cares, man? Like, it doesn't matter.
All right,
It's alright.
shocks, calm down. Okay, so do you think they can achieve that top 2 goal? I mean, it's kind of early to tell if they will do it. At the moment, they look very strong, but like you said, it's all about adapting. I mean, what do you reckon, Joe? You think they're in with a shout?
Yeah, definitely in with a shout. I just don't know if they will do it. Like I said, it just depends how they handle the pressure and adapt their picks over the split. I feel like I don't know. I feel like they all have reasonably good champ pools. Like, and they can all kind of adapt to like meta in general, but yeah, it just depends on how the other teams step up. Because it's not always necessarily a good thing starting off so well, because other teams will like focus their research on you,
Yeah.
and that's kind of what happened to us, you know, as well. So
I agree.
Okay. Well, interesting. Well, it will be interesting to see how they can go on and do that. But moving down the list, my lovely little list of topics here, guys. The next one I have down actually is an interesting one. It's something that I actually am not really sure what to think about, and that is Elements, who made a load of roster changes in the off season. They cut pretty much their entire team apart from Froggen, and then brought everyone else back. And so, but they still, you can tell in their games, they still have these issues. So, I mean, we can talk about these roster changes. They brought in, what was it, JWoww, Dexter, Tabs, and Promiscuous, yeah. I mean, Joe, you weren't their manager, but, you know, I like putting you in these scenarios because I'm interested to see how your mind works. Had you have been their manager, obviously you can't get the inner lookings at their team or anything, but are these the changes you would have made? Do you think that's what they need?
I think it's a step in the right direction. Although I couldn't really comment without knowing the
Yeah.
personalities of the players. Obviously, I know JWoww from my time in TCM and Tabs from SNS. So, and like Dexter's
Dexter,
a pretty
yeah.
close. Dexter's a pretty close friend of mine. So, I mean, I know them to an extent. However, from the way it seems, the team's very much centered around Froggen, still, and without knowing how he is in a team environment, I couldn't really comment. It wouldn't be right of me.
I think that is the big question on everyone's mind about Froggen and how he controls the team, because it does seem like it's basically his team at this point. You know, a lot of people are just a lot of the rumors going around. It's just that he's like, yeah, this is my team. You play how I play, or you don't. You know, or you can get out. But even with these changes, they're still, I believe, their record is at the moment 1-3.
Mm.
Let me just check that up. Yeah, 1-3, and that includes losses. I'm just trying to check the results now. They won game one against Gambit, which, as we can tell now, isn't too difficult considering their practice issues in week one. But since then, they've lost to Unicorns of Love, Giants, and H2K. So, you know, not the easiest schedules thus far, especially with Giants doing that well. But, I mean, did you see this kind of start coming for them? It is a new roster. What do you think? I mean, I can give it to Godfred or Joe, either one of you
Yeah,
can.
okay. I'll say something first again. Like, sorry for talking too
Oh,
much.
you're very talkative
it's
tonight, Joe.
good
Yeah, I am actually.
It's good because I don't have much to say.
Yeah, like, wait.
Go
I
on.
had something really good to say. You threw me off there. Wait. So if they do these changes, like, they have to consider that it really does have to be in the long run if they're going to replace four people, you know, because they didn't finish well last split, they didn't get circuit points, so a roster change like that, yeah, maybe there's a small percentage chance that it's gonna do so well and they're gonna finish first, and like, or they're gonna finish second and they're gonna go to Worlds, but actually the chance of that is really slim. And in a way, they're actually at more of a disadvantage than someone like Origen, who have already been playing together for a split before. And so, if they make changes like this, they have to make sure in their minds it's for the long run, because it's super risky expecting like short-term results with making 4 roster changes. That's a whole new team.
Unfortunately, though, the problem going for them at the moment is that the long run, you're talking about season 6 now, because obviously they
Yeah.
have to get a strong finish in this summer split if they have any chance to go into Worlds. So do you think maybe in their mind they're just thinking like, you know what, Worlds is pretty much a distant possibility. Like, it's possible for us, but it's not super. It's not gonna happen most likely. So we should just focus on this future.
You can't really like focus on the future, but they should just focus on
Well, you can do,
becoming no.
arguably.
They should focus on becoming a team, you know? Doing what Fnatic did, like, very rarely pays off. Like they finished first last split after having a rookie team, you know, like a completely new team. And actually, the percentage of that happening is really small. Like it has hardly ever happened in LCS, like as far as I can recall. So yeah, I don't know. They should really be looking to improve and find an identity as a team more than anything, rather than thinking, oh, let's try and go to worlds. Like if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Of course, have ambition, but most of all, try and find an identity as a team.
But I think the concern is that if they don't make it to Worlds, or if again they have a bad season, it's kind of like the I don't really want to put it into football terms because there's a lot of like North Americans that will probably watch the show and Europeans that don't follow football, but it's like the Chelsea or Man City conundrum, Manchester City conundrum, where if you don't finish strong, no matter what the circumstance, you know, your manager's going to get cut and your players are going to get cut and you're going to be swapped out. So the concern is that Elements will just keep making these roster changes until they magically find something like Fnatic that fits perfectly.
That's their problem then.
Nice. I actually like that. That's a good way to look at it. But I think position for position wise, at least, those changes were all fairly decent. I mean, JWoww is a good addition to the LCS in my opinion. I don't know if you two agree or disagree with that one. I kind of like JWoww as a player.
I mean, like I said, it's a step in the right direction. It's just about what they expect, really, and they will actually limit their progress as a team if they're like halfway through the season and they're really not in a good position to make playoffs, and they're thinking, oh shit, like I'm gonna change. Sorry, excuse my French, but like,
Oh come on, Joe! Fucking hell!
All right. But like, if they if they start changing, put like someone here and like there, and it's all just going to be a mess anyway. So they should just set their goals properly, and they will do well.
Damn, dude, Joe, you had that whole section to yourself.
Sorry, bro.
I don't think G0DFRED has anything to add though. I mean, I'm curious about
No,
his thoughts.
like
I'm curious about your thoughts on, if anything, if not on Elements as a team, at least on Promiscuous as a support player, because he's also
I
brand new.
like I don't think I'm the person to comment on stuff about being like a new roster because I'm in the same situation and like I don't have any perspective on it yet, so it's kind of hard for me to talk about that.
But what about the other thing? I mean, Promiscuous
About
as a player. I mean, I
Promiscuous?
don't know shit about Promiscuous, dude. Like,
Like
fuck, man.
I don't know much
No one
either.
knows shit about him.
I met him in real life and he's a really nice guy. And I've played against him sometimes. Like his playstyle is a bit different from mine. Like I consider myself as a bit more aggressive player, and he plays more champions. There is a bit more passive, I think. At least he said that. But it's so hard for me to sit here and comment on other players when I haven't played them enough.
Man, that's what we're here for. We're here for some trash talk. I was hoping for, like, you know, spit some fire. Like, Promiscuous, who is he? Never heard of him. I'm joking. Well, there you go. No one knows shit about Promiscuous, and so that's why I was
It's
hoping.
the same about me. Like who knew? Like who knows
Mate, I
anything
know
about
about
me?
you. I watched your stream. Joe knew about you. He showed me your stream.
Oh
So
my
there you
god!
go.
So you've seen
I'm
me
sorry.
flame on stream.
So for those in the know, what was it, like 100 viewers a day? Like,
You've
shit, man.
seen my Swedish flame on stream.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I was watching this boy throw Javla around a lot. So.
Fuck. Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
it was actually interesting because like there was rumors going around from the start of the off season that there's this guy called G0DFRED, like I don't really know who he is, but he's joining Elements. I was like, oh, shit, really? Like, what the hell? I'm
Oh yeah,
asking
that
around like, who
rumor.
is
I was,
GODFRED
I
and
was,
why is he
I
joining
was like,
Elements?
what the fuck? What have this come from? Why am I
Yeah.
joining Elements? I have no clue. Like,
I believed it fully, not
Uh,
fully,
I,
but I was asking
like it
people.
just started like I don't know. I found you some good duo queue, I guess, and it just like player by player, and then Reckless, and then as soon as Reckless happened, everyone's gonna think like, oh, where's Reckless going? Like, oh, he's duo queuing with a Swedish support, and they seem to really get along, man. So yeah, they're gonna play in like a
yeah,
team together or
of
whatever, right?
course.
Like,
I think that's probably a lesson for the future.
yeah,
Like, if you ever see someone duo queuing, doesn't mean it's fucking happening, guys. Calm down.
yeah.
Though
Twitch chat, don't calm
we saw
down.
like Crepo duo queuing with people, and everyone's like, "This is definitely going to be the new AD carry." Then if Crepo's playing with them, and it's like, "Oh wait, Crepo retired." Shit. Okay, well, there's Elements for you wrapped up. I mean, it's not a whole lot to say until we've seen them more, I think. but we can agree there are definitely some issues there. And now I think there were 4 teams in the European LCS, and this is one I think we can talk about pretty decently, who didn't make any roster changes, and that was Unicorns of Love, ROCCAT, H2K, and Copenhagen Wolves. I hope I've not made a mistake, otherwise I'm going to look very silly.
Well,
There-
Rocket made
Did they?
changes. Yeah, top.
Oh my god. I mean, who even remembers Overpower anyway? Like, come on.
Come on, man. Come on, dude. That's
That's
whatever.
low. That's
Yeah,
low.
Is
yeah.
it? Is it
That was
low
a
though?
low blow.
Yeah,
That
is
was a
it
low
low?
blow, man.
That,
Is
that's,
it
that
low?
that's
was
a low one. That's like,
that was a
create
low
some
blow,
drama
man.
here. Create some drama. Come on.
That's
That
his
was low.
job, right? Like,
How else does my show survive without drama? You got to
Mm.
realize my best show to date is when Ocelot came on and called me a no-name. That's my favorite. Oh god, that was back in the day. But okay, yeah, you're right. ROCCAT did. They bring in. How can I forget about Steve? He is like the new meme of the LCS. He's taking over Hooney's position as the most like memed LCS player. I mean, I have nothing to really say about that roster change apart from I completely and fully agree with it. With bringing in Steve, another rookie. I don't know if you guys have any other disagreements about that one specific change.
No.
No?
Like, I haven't played. I
No,
haven't
not
played
really.
it yet, so it's really hard for me to say anything.
But the one change that was rumored and hinted about in ROCCAT that never fully came to fruition, although there reportedly, I have to say reportedly, were trials, although there definitely were trials at some point, was the Woolite at AD carry. And I'm wondering if you guys have any thoughts on that, because he was caught out again. He's doing his typical Woolite kind of thing. I can't remember what game it was. He was against, I believe it was Unicorns of Love, I want to say.
Friday game, right?
I think it was
Unicorn.
Unicorns.
Yeah.
When he just wandered into the middle of the Unicorns of Love team at the 55-minute mark, just being like, I'm melee now, guys.
I didn't see that, but I heard
he's
about
becoming a meme as well because of it. Like, yeah.
That's
the
how
moment.
bad it's gotten, though. It is funny, like, and we do joke about it, but it's actually becoming a problem now, right?
it. Of course, it's
Kinda,
always
yeah.
a problem if like someone fucks up repeatedly. Then it becomes a problem.
Mm. I mean, like, that guy plays super well in scrims as well. Like, he always has done. Like, ROCCAT last bit, he played super well, but I don't know, like, what kind of stage fright he's getting. But it's definitely, like, affecting his performance. And if it's not that, then I don't know what it is. But it's not like he's not a completely different player otherwise. Otherwise, he would have been changed, you know, if they didn't see something in him, you know. I just, yeah, you know, I hope for him that he plays like he does online.
It is attributed a lot of ROCCAT's failings to stage fright, especially last season. A lot of people were saying, they just get stage fright. And there were these rumors going around that they're really good in scrims, but obviously being good in scrims doesn't really mean anything. CLG used to be really good in scrims, CLG used to famously fucking destroy everyone in scrims back in the day, and then they wouldn't translate to the LCS. And I guess that is the same thing with ROCCAT. I mean, I don't know. I don't scrim these guys ever. Is that the case? Are ROCCAT really like this really good scrim team who then just get stage fright in the LCS?
Yeah, I mean, they were definitely our favorite scrim partner last split. Almost because they play what's meta, and in scrims they play it really well. So there's no better practice at there was, well, like, I mean, speaking from last split, there was no better practice of the meta, you know. Fnatic had a completely different playstyle. You all had a completely different playstyle as well. So, I mean, if you wanted a very kind of average playstyle to the meta, which was played really well, then ROCCAT was the team to scrim.
Oh, Joe, you here? Have we lost you?
Hello?
Your
Now we can
camera's
hear you.
frozen. Phil, get the picture on.
Hello?
Get the
Okay,
picture
wait,
on.
wait,
Okay,
wait.
here he
It's
is. Here he
It's
is.
frozen?
We don't need to
Am I
get the
back? Am
picture
I
on.
back?
He's here.
Okay, alright.
But you've raised a well, I guess I raised that point actually. I've raised a good point, guys, and I'm joking. But the scrim compared to the LCS kind of thing, I was wondering, Godfred, I know you are kind of like not as experienced in it thus far, but is there a difference? Do you notice any kind of difference? I mean, obviously there is because it's LCS and scrims, but is it impactful enough to have caused a whole like team that on paper should be this top 5, top 4 team to just crumble?
What I personally noticed is like you play a bit more restricted or like restrained when you play on stage. You don't really take the same risks as you do in scrims. So maybe that's like one part of them like kind of choking. Not choking is not the right word, but like, well, for me at least, it makes me play a bit more cautious, and maybe that's what's causing them problems. Like it's really hard to speculate in, but that's the difference that I feel like between scrims and playing on stage.
I don't think you can get away with choking for 6 months in a row. Personally, I'm not sure if that's something that can be attributed there. So, I mean, I guess it's still kind of unknown what the problems for ROCCAT are. I mean, we've seen Jankos and Nukeduck kind of up their performance. Last split, it was pretty terrible. Jankos went from being one of the best junglers in Europe to being remarkably average, as well as Nukeduck coming back and kind of not really doing anything compared to what we thought he would do. Pretty disappointing. Vander as well, dropping off a bit. So interesting to see ROCCAT. Where are they at the moment? I believe they're 2-2. Oh no, they're 1-3. They're doing even worse than I thought they were. Huh. Who did they beat? Oh, they beat Gambit.
Yeah,
There you go. These teams that are beating Gambit and then losing to everyone else, that's got to be a bit of a worry for them. I'm trying to see who they lost to.
I feel like Newt Duck, like just from my experience managing him, is if you can adapt around him, like he will have a very positive effect on the way the team plays. Because I feel he's a very he might not like to admit it, but I almost feel like he's quite a demanding player in some way. But it is good because he knows how to play out a game and he is a good leader as well. And that's why you can invest into him, which is what I think they need to do when they play, rather than just try and make plays everywhere. Um, I think they're all strong enough to just handle themselves in lane and then just play to how Newt Duck wants them to after that. But yeah, I don't know. Like I don't really know how he is these days. I don't know how it is at the moment. But if it's anything like it was before, I feel like they just need to maybe listen to him a bit more.
Okay. Well, we'll get to their games next week towards the end of the show. We'll go over all the all the next week matchups, and as it happens, we're kind of coming close. I mean, it's been a pretty quick episode. There's only been 2 weeks of LCS to talk about, not a lot to go over. But like I said, there were these three teams, not four teams. I pretty much included ROCCAT in there because I don't know, Steve, man, he's been in my heart forever. He's been on ROCCAT for a couple of games. But we have the Unicorns, H2K, and Copenhagen Wolves. I'm just making sure that I'm correct about that one. I haven't made any changes.
Wait, who did you
Unicorns.
say? CW?
Unicorns, H2K, and Copenhagen Wolves.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They're all unchanged. And the question I was going to ask a while is like kind of about that. Copenhagen Wolves, they had kind of this outbreak season, a little bit of success, but they've also had, historically, Young Buck has been a player that's been targeted a lot. Airwax was also targeted a lot last season as underperforming, as well as Unlimited as well, kind of historically. But they still had this pretty good season, and I'm wondering if you think that the Copenhagen Wolves, I mean, were they correct to keep this decision to stick with this lineup and see how far they could go with it? Because the way I see it, it's not a playoff winning lineup at all.
Mm. You got something to say, Oscar?
Not really. Like I don't feel like I'm in any position to talk about what to do and what to do since I don't have any experience at
Well, I'm
all.
just curious. It's not what to do and what not to do. I'm just curious what do you think about these players and if because I don't mean it in a harsh way. Like that, I don't think these players are going to be playoff winning material. I think anyone would agree with that statement. I'm just curious as to their approach to seeing how far they can take this lineup. The
Uh,
friendship is magic option, as they call it.
yeah, I mean what they have, which many other teams don't, is the extent that they understand each other too. Like, yeah, that can be like really powerful as well. Just the fact that they understand each other's playstyles so well, and I think it comes from losing for a long time as well. Uh, you learn a lot more when you lose, and especially when you're losing so much, and you've still had pressured situations being in relegation so many times. I think it's actually brought them together as a team a lot. and I think Freeze, personality-wise, fits right in, you know, and he's very talented as well. So I think I'm not gonna say like it's a good thing because talent will bring you further. You know, the amount of talent you will bring you further, but it's just dependent on how you see the term successful. You know, I think they are fighting like since they're now a team which fights for playoffs, and they do play well. They play very smartly. I think you could call that a success in some way, turning them from what they were last season to what they are now, you know? So it's just how you define the word successful.
Okay. What do you think of, and this could go out to either of you actually, I was going to say, what do you think of Unlimited as a player? Because he's been on the Copenhagen Wolves pretty much, I mean, I can't remember off the top of my head how long it's been, but he was there even when they were an amateur team playing in, I think I remember seeing him at the first ever Gfinity. But here you have a player who's played
Yeah,
with some.
him and Youngblood. Yeah.
Here you have a player who has played with, well, pretty much guaranteed the best AD carries in Europe and potentially some of the best in the West. Unlimited with Reckless, and then he had Forgiven, and then now he has Freeze, and in the middle he had Woolite for a little while. I mean, I don't think any of us are calling him one of the best in Europe. But I'm curious what you guys think about him as a player because he's managed to survive all these cuts and whatnot. But there's an argument there that perhaps he's had such a good AD carry beside him that he hasn't really had to step up in any way.
Uh, or has he just been overshadowed by how good his AD carry
Potentially.
is?
That's why I'm asking, Joe. Yeah, see?
Like, I don't think. Yeah, I'm not gonna say, oh, he's like great. He is like the best, because I don't think he
Forgiven
like.
did.
Yeah, I mean, like, Forgiven. That's the thing. Forgiven and Unlimited had like a really good understanding of each other and how they wanted things to go. So, and they got along really well outside of the game as well. So that definitely helped. Um, and they both kind of agreed on a lot of things, just about how they wanted to play the game. So it worked. But I would say he's definitely not the worst support around. You know, and yeah, he might not be the best, but I think he gets a lot more flack than he should. That's for sure.
I was actually going to say that I feel like he's kind of ignored when it comes to Copenhagen Wolves. He's one of the players that doesn't really get talked about in a positive or negative light. And I was just trying to bring up some. I just want to bring up some conversation about him as a player because I feel like he's someone that's pretty much never mentioned. He's like the ghost on Copenhagen Wolves that never seems to appear, and that can sometimes be construed as a good thing. You know, if you're doing your job right, then no one will. I think that's what the quote says. If you do your job right, no one will know you've done anything at all, or something like that. So maybe. And Godfred, anything you think about Unlimited as a player? I mean, I know you haven't. I don't think you've played against them yet.
I have played against him, but
Did
it's
you?
so hard. Yeah, one
Whoops.
game. The second game, I think, we played against Copenhagen Wolves.
Oh yeah, you did. My bad.
Like still, if we're gonna comment on another player, I would have had to play more against him than I have at the moment. So it's really hard for me to judge someone. Obviously, he's bringing something to the team because otherwise they wouldn't have kept him. Like you don't keep someone just because you want to keep someone, I suppose.
Well, sometimes you might. That's the friendship is magic approach, Godfred.
And I didn't really watch much LCS the previous seasons. I played instead, and I don't know. I haven't watched that much, but I I I can't really say anything. I need to play more.
Joe,
I need to play more.
do you know who Godfred reminds me of?
Who?
Arsene Wenger. I
No.
didn't really see it. I didn't.
Nah,
I
nah, nah,
didn't
nah,
really watch it.
nah, nah, nah,
No comment. I don't
nah, nah.
know.
That was
No.
terrible one. No, no, no.
Okay, there you go. I just thought of it in my head there. Okay, so the other two teams obviously unchanged at the moment. Unicorns and HGK both had absolutely cracking seasons last year. I think we can both agree Unicorns of Love went above and beyond all expectations that were put forward of them, and even this season they kind of kept it going. 3-1 of them, along with H2K, both teams that no one really expected to be one of these teams that would turn into a playoff / championship fighting team. The main one being Unicorns of Love, and I think our last show, I can't remember who said it. It might have been Yamato Cannon. Was it Yamato Cannon? I think he was the one that said he thought Unicorns of Love were going to be kind of. They were surprising last season. They did good, but this season they're going to fall down. Thus far, it hasn't happened. What do you guys think? Do you think Unicorns of Love are a genuinely good team that can continue fighting at the top of the table, or do you think last season was a bit of a fluke? Last split, sorry. Hello?
Joe, go Joe.
Yeah, okay,
What?
I'll let you start then. Go on. So people say, oh, like, oh, replace Vardags, but actually, like,
Whoops.
they did, yeah, but
That
people
was
were
me.
saying that, like,
That
people
was
were,
not
yeah,
that.
well,
I
yeah,
was
whatever,
saying
but,
that.
I mean, like, a lot of people were saying that, and, to be honest, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like, people can say, oh, but SK, or we finished 15-3 in regular season, then, oh, we still finished top 4 in playoffs. Like, why are you saying this? Actually, in relativity to our goal setting, we did badly. And thing about Unicorns of Love is they set their goals right. You know, they aimed kind of mid-table last split, and they finished top 2. Now it will be interesting to see that they finish top 2, how they manage their goal setting now, and how they finish in relativity to where they think they're going to finish, you know, and what they'll do if they don't or if they do. So, yeah, I think this split, I think that's Yamato's point, really. Like, oh, maybe he's a bit more skeptical, but I think it's still a big question mark, this split, as to how well they do.
Okay, well, he's a non-believer. Are you a believer or an unbeliever, Joe? Do you believe in the friendship is magic, unicorns
like I said,
of love?
I'm like, for me, this split is the one where I could like say that at some point, you know. Last split, they finished above where they wanted to, and now they have expectations on them, not only from themselves but from their like fans as well. So it will just be dependent on how they kind of like handled that.
I actually very distinctly remember being extremely upset. You were upset as well, actually, Joe, when Unicorns of Love got voted to go to the IEM. Do you
Yeah, of
remember that?
course I was. Yeah,
Oh
of
my
course I
lord. Well,
was.
you were because you were part of SK. I just remember thinking, oh my god, these people are voting for this trash tier team
No, I
just
didn't
because
say
they're
that.
called
Like,
Unicorns of
no, no, no,
Love.
no,
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 I
no, no,
said
no,
that.
no, no,
I
no, no.
said
Okay,
that.
okay,
I
okay.
said
All
that.
right, all right,
I'm
all
just
right.
saying, I'm happy to admit that I was like so hella wrong about Unicorns of Love. I was like, oh damn, these fucking randoms got voted to IEM just because of their name, and now they're trash. And they're gonna lose, and then they just went and fucking beat TSM. Sorry, so pretty frustrating. I don't know why I just threw back to that. It's just a funny memory I had. But Godfred, come on, you can't just no comment me again about the Unicorns of Love, because even if you didn't watch much last season, you definitely watched Unicorns of Love
No,
in the finals. You didn't watch the finals.
I don't think so.
What were
You
Honestly,
you
didn't watch. You
doing?
didn't watch playoff finals.
no, I don't think so. I can't
Oh,
remember it at least.
What were you
but
doing?
Like
it's
this
three
is the
two
thing.
Madrid. Like,
Like I'm playing. I was playing football. Like I've been playing football my entire life, and whenever I didn't play, like whenever my friends played on another team or whatever,
yeah,
I just couldn't watch it. Like because it felt so much. I wanted to play, and like watching them play, I would have done things different, or I would have become jealous of how they did it, or whatever. So it's not really been like I don't know. I haven't been feeling like feeling it to watch just
mm.
because of that feel I got when I played football, and it's the same with League. Like now when I'm in the LCS, I have to watch, so I watch. But like
Before
if
the
I can
show,
shift,
mate, don't you pull that shit. Before the show, you're even like, I barely even watch the LCS, man. Barely
no,
even
I
watch
have to
any of the
watch.
other
I
teams,
have to
man.
watch.
And yeah,
I
when you're
have to.
coming up against them, you have to do the
Yeah,
scouting ahead. But
exactly.
regardless, I'm not you. You know of the Unicorns of Love.
Of course.
You know of their existence.
Yeah.
So the
I
question
know.
still applies, mate. You still have a
Uh,
better
I don't live in a cave.
analytical viewpoint of the game than I do.
Well,
Do you want
not
me to
because I
sit
haven't
here and
watched.
try and analyze the unicorns as
Yeah,
well?
yeah, do it so I can make
Oh
fun of
my
you.
god, no thank you. I've already taken enough abuse for trying to analyze. I've given up on that section of my career, man. That's why I get you guys on to talk about the game. But then I find out that like 45 minutes into the episode that one of the fucking guests didn't even watch the LCS finals last year. Like, god damn.
It's a secret.
That's just
I
unlucky.
That is
yeah.
unlucky anyway.
It's
Well,
it's like
regardless, I mean, I'll still throw the question at you if you have
it's,
anything to
it's
add.
like no. I don't really have anything to add. I just found it really funny that a new coming team went so good as they did the previous season. Obviously, I knew that they went well since I check Reddit sometimes, but didn't really watch.
That's the extent. It's like I don't watch the LCS, but sometimes I go on Reddit. You know, I read some of the Reddit comments. You know, yeah,
Yeah,
that's how.
Reddit
You
analysts
have
are
like
all
100 alt accounts just leaving like the memes on the top of comments, like "Heh they fucking suck," just so you can't get flamed on. Well, there
they're
you go, Joe. Come on, man. I said to Joe, I was like, "Oh, who do you think I should get on the show?" He
Joe
was
is the
like,
pillar of this show.
I was
He's
literally,
like,
I was going to Joe like, who should I get on the show? And he was like, yeah. I was like, what about Godfred? You know Godfred? And he was like, yeah, Godfred will be good for the show. He'll be really good for the show.
yeah.
I'm like, okay,
Yeah, he
give me
is, man. Of
Godfred's
course he is good.
contact. Yeah, we got the good
Is
banter
it
going on, but
is it
like
safe
next to
to
no
Yeah,
say?
it's just your
analysis.
fault for not getting anyone else, man. Like, I don't
My
ruin your
North
show
American
for you,
guest
right?
cancelled. I'm
Like,
not going to call
yeah,
him
it's
out.
just unlucky, man.
I'm
Like,
not going
just
to call him out for it, although he knows who he is. So if he's
That's
watching, he's probably
secret.
not though, because we're talking about Europe. But if he's watching, well, you'll know who it is because the next episode will feature him. So I'm not going to spoil it for everyone. He will be coming on, and the last team to talk about before we check up on the next week's matches is of course H2K, who we briefly mentioned, and I'm guessing Godfrey. I've never seen H2K in my life, man. I don't know who is this Ryu guy. Sorry, I don't know who that is. Well, sorry, I lost my train of thought because I was trying to think of more insults
Yeah, you're
towards Godfrey.
yeah,
harassing
man.
me.
Yeah, just shut the fuck
Eh?
up, Josh.
Yeah.
I have to bring something to the show now. I mean, I gotta flame someone for not watching the show, right? It's like going on a football show and being like, "Nah, I didn't watch the Premier League last season. Nah, fuck that shit, man. I was too busy playing football. I was kicking the ball around in my bedroom."
Yeah, well,
That's
playing all that solo queue has actually got him into LCS, man. So,
That's true. That's
yeah.
true. Well, did, is that how it works? Did you just play solo queue one day and someone was like, "You're pretty good," or like how does that even happen as an off topic?
well, like if you do things right, like consistently, obviously people will recognize you for it, and then it has to do with a bunch of coincidence, I think. Like it didn't really get worse because me and Reckless is from the same city in Sweden. So obviously, like when I started playing duo with him, some of that the reason was because we could like relate so much since we were from the same city. So it's like coincidences that it's really random. The same thing that people watched my stream, so they thought that I was a good player. Like if they wouldn't have found my stream, or if I didn't stream, what could happen then? I don't know. Like so many small factors who adds up to something, and suddenly I'm here, not just in Berlin. It feels random for me as well.
It's just
Yeah, it
interesting.
all happened like pretty quickly, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah. From like 2 or 3 months ago, I was like, I had an unlucky streak in solo queue, obviously. And if you watch my stream, you might have noticed that my behavior was not the most positive. But I thought about maybe it's time for me to stop playing League and like read something on the university or like get a proper job or whatever. So
Ah, fuck that.
I was actually thinking about quitting playing League like 2 or 3 months ago. But then some people recognized me like InnerFlame and like got me motivated and like helped me a lot. So I think a lot like of why I'm here actually is from Joe motivating me to
Oh,
keep
for
on going.
goodness sake.
Shut
So
the fuck up, Josh.
you,
Now,
Oh
like
my
you,
that.
you,
god.
you just want the flame. Like I'm coming here with
This
the nice
fucking
stuff.
love
That's his
story.
job, man.
No, no,
Like
no.
he's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
trying to be
yeah.
Richard. You know what I
The
mean, right?
banter
Like,
boy. Wanna be
This
Richard.
love story that's
No,
happening
no,
on
but
the
it's real.
show.
This is value. This is quality because like it's like really got me on track, and I'm very thankful for that. And yeah, thanks, Joe.
yeah, you're welcome, bro.
Nice.
Yeah,
See
but
the love here. Mm.
yeah, but it's stupid to see anyone good waste their potential. You know that like kind of angers me more than anything. And when I first added him and started talking to like Oscar, it was kind of like I wouldn't say he was fully demotivated, but you could see that he was slumped, you know?
Is demotivated the code word for like an angry,
Uh
after an unlucky solo queue period,
No,
like you mentioned
no,
it.
no, no. Like it's just like I
felt like
mean,
I got nowhere. Like considering how much time I spent in league and how little I got out of it, it kind of made me not motivated. And I don't know. Yeah.
Well,
uh,
Joe here's been playing League for like what 5 years, and here he is managing gamers too. I mean, can you believe it?
what have I achieved, man? Right?
Come on, Joe. I'm
Not
just
like I'm.
kidding. I'm
Yeah.
just kidding, Joe. It's banter. What were you gonna say? Come on, but I just got in there to have a jab just because I could. Really.
You know, I don't want to be cocky, but you know, the facts speak, man. Like every single Challenger series I've been in, I've
All
either
right, mate. We're
been
moving on. We're moving on.
relegations
Come
or
on, mate.
playoffs, right? Like
Come on.
I
Let's
don't
just.
know.
Like if you throw out the banter, you just gotta have the opportunity to respond.
No,
Yeah.
mate. I'm the
Yeah,
host. I can move this on
let's
whenever I
not
want.
mention 15-3 in LCS and like top four in my first season. That's not too bad, right? Like I don't
Technically
know.
speaking, in the 1v1, Joe's actually got me beat 2 games to 1 from when our old teams met. What was it? Was it
Tenerife,
Tenerife?
yeah,
Tenerife qualifier, Reason Gaming versus TCM.
which we won.
Yeah, it was Reason went up 1-0 and then TCM with the reverse sweep. I remember that. I remember exactly that day, everything
Yeah.
about it. But anyway, moving on. Whatever, Joe. It's fine. I chose a different career path. You know, we all have different fates in this world.
Is this a career
Some
path
things
that
are
you're
meant to
doing?
be.
It is a career
Is that
path.
a
God
career
help.
Uh,
path?
No,
Is
I'm not a host, mate. I'm a writer.
oh,
Yeah, I bet. I
alright.
bet he doesn't even know who I am.
Esport journalist. No, I don't know
Yes.
who you are.
Thank you
Is
very
that
much.
even a career path?
yeah,
Hell
it
yeah,
is.
it's a
It is
career
these
path.
days, right?
Yeah, man.
Especially when you make my job difficult and break
Banter
stories
path
all
or
the
something?
time, right? It's just when in off season my job becomes very interesting because of people like Josh, unfortunately. So
Unfortunately, now the off season's ended, so I have to resort to like doing these shitty shows to like fill my time. So you
Just
know,
to get people to flame other people and create.
exactly. You got to realize that's when it's most interesting to the fans, man. We love a good drama. The
Oh,
fans love a good drama.
I think you got that wrong. Anyways,
If I could get on this show and in the background, like just Pepe like just punches someone and there's like a full on fight in the background, that would be absolutely perfect. Like full on top of Reddit, all the traffic. But unfortunately, it looks like Giants are all too friendly for that. So
yeah, they're watching some English show with Spanish voice. It's retarded.
maybe I'll have to get on like Gambit and see if they can have a little scuffle in the background for me.
You're retarded. You're telling me I'm retarded. Ah.
All right, mate. All right, let's calm down on that word. All right, you might get Nick Allen on your back. But anyway, we'll move it towards the ending. I think we've been going for about an hour now, and I can tell. You know, I've been talking about
An
League of
hour
Legends for about.
without banter.
I've been talking
How is
about
this
League of
show
Legends
even gonna
all
go on?
day, and now I'm kind of sick of it. Now I just want to go and play Counter Strike, man. Honestly, but no, we'll take a look at the week 3 matchups. We might as well. By the time this goes out, it'll be tomorrow that the LCS kicks off, so we can look at some of these matchups. First up is Origin versus Unicorns of Love. I mean, we don't want to go too in depth on each game, but I mean, I'll get a quick prediction from you guys. If you want to, and any special info about the game, if you think there's going to be anything particular to look out for, because this is obviously for the fans, you know, it's for the fans to see.
all right. I guess we should go through them one by one then, right?
I literally just said Origin versus Unicorns of Love.
Okay, so yeah, fine. Yeah, like yeah, I I actually can't call that one.
Oh, if this is the status quo for every game, so I
No, no, no,
can't
no,
really
no, no,
call
no,
that.
no, no, no. Legit, I can't call this one.
What do you think is
I
the key to victory? I mean, is it champ select for Unicorns of Love? Obviously, they've got this like wacky kind of champion pools that can cause a stir for Origin.
I mean that's basically it. But that's the story for many games they play, and many times they've come on top. So, um, I think if anyone's going to beat Origen at this time of the season, it would either be like Fnatic or your.
I
Okay.
agree with you completely. And I don't know, it's really hard to call, but just for the sake, I'd say UL actually. Yeah,
Wow.
just the feel, just the feel. I don't
It's like
know.
the first bold thing that we've said this show.
Uh, yeah,
Nice.
like
Well, I'm going with Origin, but my opinion doesn't mean shit. So ignore me, everyone watching. Next up, we have ROCCAT versus Giants. I wonder what Godfred's going to go for this game. ROCCAT or Giants? Joe, what do you reckon? I'm not even going to ask.
Not because he's here, but I think Giants will win.
yeah. No, I actually, I don't know. It will be a really hard game. Both our games is really hard this week. We're playing Rocket and Fnatic, so I don't know. A win would be really awesome in both games, but it's not something that I kind of expect. Of course, I want to win by all my heart, but it's not really expected.
It's not really applicable.
Giants,
Oh, go on, Joe.
Giants, Giants have momentum at the moment, and I don't think Rocket's the team to break it right now. Fnatic might be.
It's not really applicable to this game, but it's just something I wanted to say. I love asking LCS players if how they think they're going to do in certain matches. Like in the past, I've asked players that are like top of the league, like how do you think you're going to do against this bottom of the team league, like 0 to 5 or whatever. And they're like, yeah, I think it's going to be a really close game. It's hard to tell. It's like I imagine Nick Allen just stood there with like a gun pointed at their head. Like, just make sure you tell them it's going to be a close game. No BM, guys. Come on.
It's
Respect.
about not being an asshole. You don't have to be an asshole.
I'm just kidding. Anyway, I think it will be a close game between Rocket and Giants, although personally would go for Giants anyway. SKH2K, I think I personally can see a clear victor coming out of this one. Joe, are you going to stick up for your former SK boys, or you think it's going to be
I
H2K?
I think it is going to be H2K. They're really good at the fundamentals and they're consistent, and SK are far from consistent at the moment. And I think H2K's bot lane, especially, I think that's the biggest disparity in skill at the moment. I think H2K bot lane are like one of the best in Europe at the moment, if not the best. Not 100% certain on that, but I think they are going to win without too much difficulty.
Do you think it'll be as bad as what Origin did to them last week, or
No,
I think it'll be a bit closer than that?
yeah, it will be a bit closer, but I still think it will be I'm not going to say easy, but it will be a relatively
Convincing.
smooth, yeah, convincing
Ah, good
victory.
word. That's a good one. Convincing.
That's a good one.
I'm not
Yeah.
even from England. So, I don't know.
So
It's
it's
cool.
going to be a convincing victory. It doesn't sound
Yeah.
too BM, but it kind of implies that there's a little bit of ease in there. It's nice. I like it. What about the top laners quickly for SK and H2K? Because obviously you said you think the bot lane's the most disparity. In the past few weeks, we've actually seen Freddy just have like his head caved in like repeatedly over and over again. And whereas Odoamne's been performing extremely well. Do you think there's anything special there? Has Freddy kind of fallen off, do you think, for SK, or is it just a team problem?
Yeah, I mean he's definitely in a slump, but he's not the only person in this team at the moment who's in a slump. When you see how they can play and how he and others are at the moment, yeah, I mean he's slumping. I mean,
So I think there is a
I
way
hope,
back.
yeah, I mean I hope he turns it around, of course. But I just think like in the last few weeks he's definitely been slumping.
Okay. Next up on the list is Fnatic Elements again. A game where I see a pretty clear victor, but you never know. Elements, they have this new lineup. It could just start clicking at some point, but at the moment it doesn't look like it's going to happen. I mean, I'll be calling Fnatic. I don't know if any of you guys would disagree with that at this moment in time with Fnatic doing as well as they are.
Yeah, Fnatic will probably win. Like, I don't think there are any question marks there. I don't think Elements are ready to win against a team like Fnatic just yet.
I agree.
Okay.
I
I
agree.
thought you would. Honestly, I'm not surprised but here is the game where there's maybe a chance. Actually, no, it's coming up after that. I was wrong. I looked at the wrong day. It's actually happening on second day. Copenhagen Wolves Gambit rounds off the day for day one. On paper, you'd argue that Gambit probably have the stronger lineup, but looking at these past 2 weeks, I mean, you kind of have to go for Copenhagen Wolves. I'm wondering if you guys disagree.
I think if Gambit are going to win their first game, this is going to be the one. They've had 2 weeks to practice now, and they should start looking like a LCS caliber team around now.
Yeah.
Even if they don't win, they'll show, like, it will definitely be a close game. Like, but I do think Gambit can probably edge it this one.
Yeah, I actually think that Gambit's gonna win. I do. I feel like who did they play the last week? Where they had a pretty close game against a good team, or like top of the table team.
They played against. I'm just trying to find out for you. They played against Fnatic and H2K last week.
Was it maybe the Fnatic game whereas they played pretty solid?
Yeah, they had a solid early game, right?
Yeah, exactly. So if they bring that to the Copenhagen Wolves game and like builds onto that, I'm fairly certain about that Gambit can win.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. I'd like Gambit to win. I kind of like the team they've got going for them, especially Cabachard. I think he's a very good player that's a little bit wasted on that lineup at the moment. Starting day 2, and it's a game that I'm sure Oscar's been having nightmares about all week.
I'm looking forward to every game.
Fnatic versus Giants. I mean, I'd be excited to play against Fnatic, although I'd be a bit worried about getting my shit pushed in. But
like nobody expects us to win, and so we don't have any pressure at all. So everything is only positive almost. I'm really looking forward to play against them since I haven't played against them. I don't know. It's gonna be really interesting to play against the team that is considered the best in the West, probably. So yeah.
Well, yeah. If you take SKT to a 5th game in a best of 5, then you get a bit of credit, but you never know. Giants could always say.
If you stop at NA's number 1 team as well. I mean, that's a pretty good case, right? Like,
yeah.
I think they probably are like the best team in the West. I don't think many people would argue that. Like Oscar said, it's a good thing they have no pressure on them.
Quick Phil, get the picture.
Yeah, like they have no pressure like on them at all from winning. Like, but I think are a very oiled machine at the moment, and I don't think you'll beat them just yet. Sorry.
Wow, that was the tamest trash talk I've ever heard. He was even followed by an apology, like, I don't think you'll beat them just yet. Sorry.
Okay. I do not think you're gonna beat them.
Oh, not even gonna say sorry.
How do you want me to say
as soon
it?
as
he wants you to say it like this, you get trashed, you fucking noob. That's how he wants.
Yeah, like
that's how he wants.
Prove me wrong, whatever, man. I don't care. Like
Joe said on this talk show that Gambit Giant is trash, and then we get stomped by.
Yeah, man, that's gonna be the headline. I'm looking for when you title something, you put it on like Twitter and Reddit and stuff. Like you have to have a quote in there. At the moment, the quote I have is "Fnatic is a well-oiled machine. I don't think you'll beat them just yet. Sorry." It doesn't quite work as well as you're gonna get your fucking heads kicked in. But there you go. It's fine. No, I get it. I feel the same way actually. I think Fnatic, while they're looking strong right now, I think they're kind of on a very good momentum rush at the moment, so that's not really their true like level. It could always go down from this, and we'll see how it evens out as the season goes on. Following up from that is ROCCAT Origin, a game where I'm probably going to be calling Origin on that one, although ROCCAT again, always with a chance to bring it back. We get to see Xpeke versus Nuke Duck, which I don't believe is a matchup we've seen for a very long time. I'm trying to remember when that would have happened last.
Season 3 summer split. Lemon Dogs Fnatic.
Oh yeah, or Worlds.
They didn't play each other at Worlds, I don't think. Did they? No.
They're in separate groups.
No, Fnatic and Gambit were in one group, and then it was Lemon Dogs in the other one with SKT.
We saw Nuke Duck against Faker in that tournament even.
Yeah, when he played Swain.
Oh yeah, we all remember the Swain. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be Origin for that. Any disagreements there?
Yeah, I don't think so.
No.
Your thinking face was on, Godfred. I saw you there.
No, I was just thinking that this is probably something that I would been able to talk about more after the game against ROCCAT the first day.
Yeah.
It's really hard for me to say at the moment since I haven't played them.
I think the big disparity that I'm looking forward to seeing is Woolite and Vander against Niels and Mithy. I think that'd be quite interesting to see. Hopefully, I mean, because if Woolite steps out of position, Mithy is definitely the type of support that will pretty much 100% punish that time and time again. So we'll see how that one pans out.
Yeah.
Two teams
what if they swap though? Like, who plays the lane swap better? That's it. Like,
I don't even factor that in, like, in my mind, because it's such a boring outcome to consider when I'm doing these kind of things. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's so anticlimactic when the lane swap
that's how
happens.
it is, Josh. Like, it's not about whether you want to consider.
But
it
I'm
or
all
not.
about
Sure, we want to
hype.
see, like, yeah, of course. Like, we want to see everyone outplay each other. But the way things are now, like these days, like, the game has elevated to a technical level where you just factor in like who's the better lane swapper as well, who's better strategically.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking to someone else there, Godfred, because you turned your head.
No. I was
No?
just
I thought someone was calling you.
Thinking at the same time as agreeing completely. Like, why don't play to your advantages? It's when you can do it, when it works.
Well, does that even
wouldn't
factor
you?
into this game? Like, are you thinking that ROCCAT is a more like tactically advanced team than Origin?
No, I haven't thought about that. And like I said, this is something I could be able to talk about after the Thursday game, but right now I really can't. But if either team feels that they have the edge if they lane swap, of course they would go for it, even though it's like anticlimactic. Yeah.
EU Meteos is stood behind you,
Yeah.
checking out the game, checking out the show. Hey, he can be on next week if he wants, man. There's no hate here. Does he even speak English there?
Yeah, of course he does. He didn't want
Yeah,
to
but good enough for a talk show.
What?
Yeah, of course.
Are you
man.
trying to create flame again from nothing?
What? I was
Again?
asking if Ardri had good enough English for a talk show where you talk for an hour and a half.
Desperate attempt.
Unbelievable. You two are banding together and you're not even going to win. Like, come on. I could just press the end call button and shut the whole thing down right now, guys.
Unlucky, Josh.
Hey, I've got an hour's worth of content here, my friend.
I thought you wanted us to be on the show, not the other way around.
Nah, Joe begged me to come on the show.
Yeah.
Joe was like, please let me on, man. Come on. Please let me come on the show.
I totally did that, man, by the way.
You don't need to say anything. We all know it's true. As we're going to come towards the end now. Come on, guys. We're almost there. We almost got to the end.
Element CW.
Yeah.
I think Elements will probably win because actually, remember that CW don't have Dentist on stage and their drafting has been looked a lot weaker. Like at least last week it looked weaker without him. So yeah, I don't know how. It's not only about how much you prepare before, how much they can prepare with him. You know, of course they're preparing with him, but it's also about how you adapt your picks as well. So Yeah, I don't know how they're gonna do it, but I think a lot about that game will come down to how it goes in the draft.
I think it'd be fucking hilarious if Deficio just walked out on stage and started coaching them. I think that would just make my year. But do we know who's going to be on the stage with Copenhagen Wolves, or are they just having no one? Has
They
that been
had
out?
no one last week, right? I think they had no one, right? They had no one?
No, the ban came out after last week's LCS, right?
Did wait.
Mm,
I feel like.
Mm,
Should
I
we?
don't remember. I don't even remember who
I think
came
I'll
out.
just Google the news one set. How what would I even do for
Wait,
this? Deficio competitive ruling. See, already found it 6 days ago. So yeah, that would have happened after the LCS, right?
wait, no. Not if it happened 6 days ago. Then it would. Did it happen on the third or what? Or the fourth?
Oh no, it happened on Wednesday, so
Yeah.
he would have been
So
off
yeah, yeah.
stage.
He wasn't. He wouldn't. He
Huh.
wouldn't have.
Well, that's
I,
my bad
Yeah.
then.
So I was right. Yeah.
I watch VODs really of the good games. I don't watch all of the games. I watch VODs of the games where someone if I
Right.
ask people and I'm like, is it a good game? Should I watch it or just see the results? So didn't see any Copenhagen Wolves games last game.
Let's have a look. Gambit SK.
That's the game that both teams are 0-4, right? So you can't have 2-0-6 teams by the end of the season, by the end of the week. This is the one.
That's a huge game as well because that sets the momentum. Like if SK go like 0-6 or 1-5, then it's super hard to climb out of that. Like believe Gambit did it last split actually. Didn't they go like 0-5 and like come back? But
Yeah, they went Moscow 5 and then came back from that.
yeah, but I mean it's not only that, it's also forgiven against SK, right? So like of course the players are going to be thinking about that. I mean, they can deny it as much as they like, but of course they're going to be thinking about that, and both teams are going to go out like really, really trying to win. I think we're going to see like a really high quality game.
And the important question is though, who are you voting for, Joe? Who's getting the win in your eyes in this game? It's a really close one. I absolutely agree.
I want SK to win because they're my old team, but I think Gambit will win.
I feel like Gambit come up trumps in every role apart from uh, mid and jungle, arguably. Jungle could be quite even at this time, but I think mid Fox would come up better over Betsy. But I think in top lane and bottom lane, I feel like Gambit come up ahead with Cabochard forgiven.
Like actually, Fox has been playing really well, despite them losing. Like, uh, not saying this because he's a good friend of mine, but you look at the damage dealt to champions after every game, and for example, in the Fnatic game, he had 10,000 more damage than anyone else in the game. For example, like, and I think who I think was it your game as well. I think he had equal damage to the top as well. So I mean, in comparison to the rest of his team, he's definitely been contributing statistically. So I don't know. I feel like if they can play around him, then maybe they can do something. Uh, but they haven't been doing it so far. Um, and yeah, I don't know how they're gonna adapt it, how they've been practicing, what the mood is like after 0-4, because the whole of last split we didn't lose 4 games in a row.
Yeah,
So yeah,
true.
like
I suppose it's not something you really have any experience in after you guys just absolutely crushed the regular season. Godfred, what do you reckon? I think you've played against SK, but not Gambit Gaming just yet.
I think that Gambit will have the edge in that game, but I still think that both teams can win depending on like how well they execute the early game, and yeah, I think Gambit will have the edge though. just because of in general, just the feel that I get after being playing after the game against SK last week, and after seeing Gambit's early game against Fnatic, I just feel like Gambit will have the edge.
With the shortened schedule, it looks like SK could really be a contender for relegation, which would be absolutely bizarre after winning the regular season last split, and then now they already could possibly potentially be down 0-6 after this week if the results kind of go as expected. They'll only have another 12 games to turn their fortunes around.
I mean, like, you look at both teams, right, and you see SK went ahead in the early game against Fnatic and they couldn't snowball it. So we've seen them ahead and behind this season and they haven't won. Whereas Gambit, I mean, the only game they've really been ahead in most lanes was probably like the Fnatic game, but they weren't really that far ahead. It was still relatively even across the board. So we haven't seen what they do when they get ahead. So if they get ahead, maybe they snowball it, maybe they don't, you know. It's not only about how you come from behind, it's also about how you close out games. So yeah, it will be interesting to see how they do there, because it's actually something we haven't seen from Gambit yet.
Fair enough. And the final game of week 3 that we will be seeing is going to be Unicorns of Love versus H2K. Historically, well, I say historically, last split, they were very close together when it came to performance in the regular season and the playoffs. I believe they met. Did they meet in the semi-final? No, H2K met Fnatic, didn't they? I believe. Can you
Don't
remember?
ask me.
What UL and what?
UL
and
played
H2K.
SK, didn't they?
When? In what? Playoffs?
In the playoffs.
Yeah,
Okay.
we lost, yeah.
I couldn't remember if they played H2K in the playoffs or not. It's been quite a while. I just wanted to hear you say you lost. No, I'm kidding. But Unicorns of Love versus H2K. Come on, me and Joe, we've known each other for a very long time.
It's all good, man. Don't worry. It's like this in real life too. It's unlucky.
Yeah, it is. Unicorns of Love, H2K. Final game of the week. Again, you could argue that it's going to come down to like a champs select kind of thing. Unicorns of Love, very adept at winning games, or at least favoring games from that kind of mode, from that moment.
It's almost like the clash of two opposite playstyles. So one which is very kind of like I'd say wacky is probably the best way to describe UOL. And then
Quick Shot described it as brainless in the LCS cast last week.
No.
So...
I would say wacky. It's almost like controlled aggression in some way. You know what I mean? Like
very buzzwordy.
If one person dies, like then everyone dies. If like one person kills someone, everyone kills. They how could I say this? They win together and lose together. I don't know. That makes no sense. It sounds so stupid. Like,
that sounds very stupid.
If you get what I meant, like for example.
Yeah. Do you remember that time when you won the game, Godfred, but Archery actually lost the game?
It's like okay.
You got a W next to your name, but
I got a better way to describe it. Right? They don't hesitate in following up on each other. Right? Like, so if one of them makes a bad decision, they will all follow that bad decision. You know what I mean? But at the same time, if they do a good one, they will all follow. And one thing that a lot of teams don't have is that kind of like togetherness. You know what I mean?
It sounds quite funny because the way you say it, it's like, oh, my mid laner tried to challenge like this 2v1, so it's like everyone just pile in, teleport from the top lane, go for it, go.
Yeah, but people do hesitate, man. Like not all teams are like that. Like some might sit back and some might like go forward, and it doesn't work. But they are very much a team in what they do. You know,
Joe's lost the plot.
No, I haven't.
Some might sit back and some might go forward. So like, everybody.
Oh my gosh.
So arguably everyone.
He's dug a really.
You don't.
Some sit back and some go forward. Meanwhile, the others disappear off the rift or something like that. I don't know.
Oh my god, Josh, you're tilting me. It's unlucky.
Yeah, you've been tilted pretty hard by the tilt master himself.
Okay, my point was, H2K are the opposite. They're very organized. You know what I mean? They're very
Well, apparently, according to you, they're not organized. They don't listen to each other. They fuck off in different directions. You
No,
know,
that's
like...
no. I'm not saying like I'm not saying. You're winding me up now. You're winding me up now.
Right, let's give
Let
them
me
a
put
second.
this,
We'll
okay?
give them a second.
Right.
Like, you can.
Okay. They are two opposite teams. One is very chaotic. One is not. You know, and I think, like, I personally prefer HTK's playstyle, so I think HTK will win.
We got there in the end. All of that for just, I think HTK
Yeah.
will win.
How about that? Eat that,
Yeah,
man. Like, just
that's
eat that.
Do you agree, Godfred? Do you think, Unicorns of Love, they all just pile into each other? And one of them crosses the road, sees a car coming, and then they all just follow that person into the road and just get hit by the same car?
I don't know. That's.
No, I don't know either. I don't know either, really.
I'm Joe tilted me as well. No, but seriously, I don't know. I haven't played any of the teams, so I
I
can't.
can't comment on them.
I can't comment on them, but I don't know who will win.
I haven't played against any of the teams either, Godfred.
No,
But I think H2K will win.
but you watched them like the previous season.
Yeah.
So and I haven't.
And they both didn't make any changes, so yeah, like
It's hard for me.
based on last season, yeah, like I think HK will probably win. I like, in no disrespect to UOL, I thought HK were the second best team in Europe last split, but they got put on Fnatic's side of the bracket.
So, do you think had they have played UOL, they would have progressed to the final?
Yeah, or had they played us, then yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true. I didn't even consider that possibility. Well, that does bring us to the end of the week, and you know what? I mean, there was a couple of other things that I was thinking about adding on, but honestly, it's coming close to midnight. It's past midnight where Godfred is.
Like,
I've been talking about League of Legends for like 10 hours of today. So I think we'll call it. I think we did like an hour and a half, which was way longer than I wanted to go for anyway. So, yeah, that is episode 2 of Let's Talk Esports. I mean, I don't know how much actual analysis we got in there. It's more like a
Joe's
first.
explanation of UL took like.
Oh man,
That's going to be a highlight reel. You know what? You know what?
You know what? You can edit that out, right? If you
No.
that.
That's gotta be in there.
Me and Phil, we used to do a show called Challenger Chat. I'm sure Joe knows about Godfred, probably not. But it's a show about the Challenger series exclusively, and we used to bring on these Challenger players to interview, and we had like a highlight reel that we didn't show it, but like all these fuck ups and stuff in like a little private video. So we'll make one for Let's Talk Esports. And you know what, Joe, your explanation of Unicorns of Love will be in that highlight reel. So I hope you're happy. You've already cemented a spot in the Let's Talk Esports highlight reel. So yeah, that's been episode 2. Before I do my little outro, I'll let you guys do your fucking sponsor shoutouts. I know you have to do it. Joe, go on. Can you name all the sponsors of Gamers 2 without looking it up, like you're probably doing right now?
Shout out to this. Look here.
Who's that? Versus? Is that like the brand of the T-shirt or what?
Oh no, versus gamers.
I've never heard of them before.
That's your problem.
Well, now I've heard of them.
But
so
now
your
you have,
advertising's
so
doing
yeah,
fine.
he's
Exactly.
actually
Shout out
doing
to
his
this.
job, huh?
Really
I don't know what
nice.
the bottom one is.
I got
Gaming
this today
TV.
actually. I'm really happy because this shirt looks pretty awesome.
Yeah, man, you should send me a shirt. That'd be totally dope.
You can buy it.
Where can I buy it?
Giant's website.
okay.
Go in there and click and
Alright.
buy.
Giant's website. So I'll just
Right.
type Giant's website into
No,
my
Giant's
browser.
Gaming, and then you go in there and buy it. No problems.
Shout outs to our partners, G2A, Oslo World, and Orkbite. So yeah.
You're our partners. Shout out to our motherfucking partners. Anyway, yeah, that's the end of the show. I've got like a couple of things to say. What should I say? I'm going away in a few days' time.
Yes.
I'm leaving Europe, so I mean, Godfred will be happy. I'll no longer be talking to him. Joe, yeah, they're secret. They're well, not even secretly. They're both ecstatic. I'm going away on the 18th, so there might be a show next week. But if not, I'll let you know now why. That's the reason. But I will be back in Canada where I'm going. I'll be doing some more shows, maybe more NA focused because of the timings. Who knows? But you'll see. I'll either be back next week or in 3 weeks because I'll be taking 2 weeks off when I get there. So thank you very much for watching. That's been Let's Talk Esports episode 2. It was a bit of a shit show, but we got through it in the end. Thank you to my guests, Oscar, Godfred, Lundstrom. Good luck in the LCS. And Joe, InnerFlame, Alawasi. I'll see you on Friday for my going away party, Joe. Good night.
So yeah. Good night.